Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday evening program from Dhamma Monastery. And this evening, we're very happy to welcome back Ayya Santacitta, who joined us also on Sunday. Ayya Santacitta is from Aloka Earth Room, who's just about 40 minutes south of us here, and a longtime friend of our community. And she ordained with Ayya Aloka in 2011. And yeah, we're just really very happy to have her with us and offering the program this evening. So I'm happy to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ayya, and welcome. So just let us take a few minutes just to settle in, to arrive where we are right now. And I met some of you on Sunday, Daniel and Upasika Elaine with the mountain behind her. And welcome to everybody else. And if you can turn on your camera, I'm very grateful, to be able to see you, because I can connect better that way. And let's just start by have a very little round where everybody can introduce themselves where they sit. So I'm at the Aloka Earth Room in San Rafael, which is close to the Golden Gate Bridge in California. And then I hand over to Kay. Kay, where are you?
I'm Kay. I'm in New Zealand.
And you hand on to a person of your choice now.
I'll hand off to Daniel.
I'm in Oakland, California. And I'll pass to Chintana.
I'm Chintana, and I'm in San Francisco. Nice to see you.
And you hand on to whom, Chintana?
Yes, Upasika Elaine.
I'm in Alberta, Canada.
And to whom are you handing over, Elaine?
To Richard.
Richard, are you here? Let's hand on to someone who is actually in the Zoom. Kellen.
Oh, to Ananea.
Ananea, okay. Ananea, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, I'm Santa Rosa.
And can you pass it on to somebody, Ananea?
Sure. To Kay.
I've gone, so I'll pass to Tanvi.
Hi, I'm in Fremont, California.
And to whom are you handing it over? Maybe to Kellen or Richard?
I'll pass it to Kellen.
Hi, I'm Kellen. I'm in Santa Rosa, California.
And then there's Richard.
Hello, I'm in Manteca, California.
And Josephus Ray, are you present?
Good evening, yeah, I'm from Hayward, California.
Okay. And Ayya already said where she is, right? Everybody knows.
Dhamma in Pengrove.
Yeah. Okay, so lots of Californians, one person from Canada and one person from New Zealand even. Even Kay said she was born in California, actually. So let's take in with whom we are here in this group today. On a Tuesday evenings, rainy day today here in California. So, a couple of days ago we had the winter solstice, and now the holidays are beginning. And, it's each year the usual rhythm, and, give us some time for pausing. Though sometimes, it can be quite busy also during the holidays. And also maybe quite complex, meeting with family and meeting people we usually maybe don't spend so much time together with, and then all of what can come up. It can be quite a complex time for people. And yet, it's an invitation for resting and for slowing down and for, looking inside, the particular, the time when it's dark and when just nature is slowing down, and we can sense that in our own bodies as well, that slowing down of this time of the year. So there's this invitation for us also to slow down and, come back to our bodies, come back to the present moment. Feel, what it means to be embodied, to be alive right now, and slowing down in a culture, which is usually very speedy and busy. And reconnecting with that inner stillness that's always available, is always here, but we often forget it, get swept up in the momentum of modernity and all of the different things, we get sucked into if we're not careful. Because, connecting with that stillness in the midst of the busyness isn't an escape, but it's more like a place of resourcing, so that we can then, participate again. So this inner stillness as a place of resourcing, a place of sanctuary, a place of insight, and a place of guidance also in how to show up in the world. And particularly, with the three refuges. The three refuges are, three pillars of practice, and they are all helping us, to turn more fully towards that stillness, from which all life forms, arise and cease. And just speak a little bit about the refuges. The refuge, the first one, refuge in Buddha, is not only, refuge in the Buddha as a teacher, as a historical person, but it's also, taking refuge in our own capacity, our own potential for living in living as awareness. So it's our inner Buddha. Taking refuge in that, paying respect to that, and then taking refuge in Dharma is, taking refuge in the teachings of the Buddha on the one hand, but on the other hand, the laws of nature, the way things are. And aligning ourselves increasingly with that. And then taking refuge in Sangha is, the community of those who have realized the teachings to a certain extent, and also all of those who are benefiting from the teachings. So that's those three refuges, which can help us to orient ourselves in order to receive the guidance from that inner refuge with a certain safety the GPS of the path, basically, so we can't get kind of lost. And as you all know, we as a species have gotten pretty lost, and our eco-cultural crisis, makes it very clear that we need to do things differently. But kind of it's such a complex situation that nobody really knows how to respond. How to find our way back into the web of life as conscious participants, rather than trying to kind of dominate it or control it, because we have tried that now for several hundred years, and it hasn't turned out very well. So, how to bring back online our, cellular memory of viscerally knowing that we are actually deeply embedded in the web of life, and receiving guidance from that web of life. The fact that we are completely dependent on the biosphere for everything we have, our food, our housing, our clothing, everything. And somehow we tend to forget that, because our culture, our language, our education isn't really making much of that yet, But we are somehow on a turning point where we start to realize that if we don't deeper take in that truth, our decisions, our intellect will not really be working on a basis of sustainability and truth. And I think this is, the great question of our times is can we build new systems in order to take care of ourselves in a way which is sustainable? And how will we care for each other in these times of great changes? How can we learn to attune to these forces so much bigger than ourselves? And how can we master the creativity and the courage to participate in the process of bringing forth new ways of being and doing on the planet as humans? And that's, where the refuges are really very important. If we are dealing with such huge questions, and somehow, when we come to the end of our resources, we have to open ourselves to instructions from outside of the intellect and humble ourselves, to be with the not knowing. And this is what the 3 refuges are all for, to give us something to lean into, to be able to be with the not knowing and not, lose heart. And at the same time, getting interested in how we can learn from other life forms, which are much, much older than ourselves, which are here much, much longer, and learning from them, learning from other life forms in particular, for example, from plant life, which is here for millions and millions of years, not able to run away from danger or kind of run after what they want, but they are rooted in the earth, and they had to learn, to develop strategies in order to survive. So, taking some interest in complete different ways of being and doing. By, expanding perception, and especially, we from the forest tradition, We always have had, the forest, we always had nature as a teacher. So, how can we learn from nature as a teacher? And one very important way of reframing is, practice isn't just about individual coping or individual liberation, but it's also a collective collaboration. It's about community, not even only about the human community, but also about the more than human community, which we are totally dependent on, for so much. Our food, of course, comes, from plant life. Our oxygen comes from plant life and from plankton. So, there wouldn't be a day we could exist without all of the support we are given, by all of these other life forms. And just allowing that to really sink in helps us to become more willing, to listen and not think, that our intellect can fix all of this. But it's much more like an attunement, a listening, slowing down and opening ourselves to something which is beyond our control. And once we are really kind of opening to that, then the mystery can come to meet us. And that is a scary thing to do, but it's the essence of all spiritual practice. To open to a strategy we don't know yet much about. And having the 3 refuges as a means to steady ourselves in that quest. So, to go beyond what we know in service of what we love. And, the willingness to be in that uncertainty, to stay with the messiness of it, to stay with the struggle of it. And in that way, we are starting to change. And I've brought a poem with me for that, to express that more fully, Because Ajahn Chah, one of the great teachers in the Thai forest tradition, he is on record for saying, people, you need a lot of perseverance in order to go through the transformation, which is what the practice enables us to go through. And he is on record for saying, can you just learn to practice like an earthworm? That very humble being, an earthworm, which doesn't have eyes, but a very sensitive body, and just, dealing with whatever is in front of him or her, and then digesting it, and what comes out the other end is very, very fine fertilizer. It's called vermicast. It's the preeminent fertilizer on this planet, and earthworms, are considered to be a key species, which are very, very important beings for having the, rich blossoming of plant life on this planet comes, besides other things, from the work those earthworms are doing. And, most of us, can go for years without seeing one, but they are working away every moment. And their contribution is incredibly important so that they are called a keystone species. And it was Charles Darwin, who said that for the first time, and he was quite ridiculed then, but it is true. Without them, it would look very different here on this planet. And it's that same kind of a humility which we need to employ in our practice, being in the middle of so much uncertainty and not knowing how all of this will find a way forward. Chintana to everyone, I'm an earthworm. Yes, we are all earthworms, And I brought a beautiful poem. She's an American poet. She's called Rosemary Vatola Troma. And it's called Lumbricus terrestris, which is the Latin for earthworm. And it goes like this. On a day when the world is weighty, dark and dense with need, I want to be the earthworm that gives itself over to tunneling. Its every movement as an act of bringing spaciousness. And when minutes feel crushed by urgency, I want to meet the world worm-like, which is to say grounded, consistent, even slow. No matter how desperate the situation, the worm does not tunnel faster, nor burrow more. It knows it can decades to build fine soil. To whatever is compacted, the worm offers is good worm work, quietly bringing porosity to what is trodden, compressed. So often in my rush to repair, I end up exhausted. Let my gift to the world be my constancy, a devotion to openness, my willingness to be with what is. Let my gift to myself be patience, as I tend what is dense and dark. Let my gift to the world be my constancy, a devotion to openness, my willingness to be with what is. Let my gift to myself be patience, as I tend what is dense and dark. Yeah, and also, the name we have given ourselves, human, has the same root as the word humus, which is a word for soil, as you all know, and humility is also of the same root. So we are earthlings, we are, even our name says it, we are made out of the same material as the planet is made. And even, our language says it, but it just doesn't really land because it's not yet part of our education. So, our generations, we have to make an effort to educate ourselves by practicing to see more clearly, what it means to be walking around in these human bodies, which are kept alive through eating, drinking, and breathing. And there's not one moment, where we are capable of cutting the umbilical cord towards the bigger body of the earth. We are constantly in exchange. And to bring that into awareness, to bring that into a conscious experience, that's an important part, of adjusting our ways of thinking and feeling what it means to be human, and it's dropping deeper. And I'd like to guide us in a meditation now to bring it into direct experience. And last Sunday I already offered a guided meditation. Some of you were here. I offered a guided meditation on the elements, the 5 elements, which is a part of the first establishment of mindfulness, the first Satipatthana on the body. And it makes it very clear, you know, that these bodies are made out of earth element, water element, fire element, wind element, and space element. And they are coming, you know, from the bigger body of this earth, and then they come into us, they get digested, and then we go to the bathroom and it goes out again. And it's like a process, an incredible, mysterious process. Incredibly beautiful process. And, you know, and to bring more precision, to bring more awareness to that, that's a way how we can shift and expand perception about what it means to have a human body, that there is actually no real boundaries between us and the biosphere. So just, you know, let us find a posture which we can sustain for about 35 minutes or so, or let me see, what did I plan? You know, about 40 minutes actually. You know, and sensing your body on the cushion, on the chair, wherever you're sitting right now. The weight, you know, the gravity which keeps the body in place. And with the out breath, you can maybe, you know, imagine to send some roots down into the soil underneath where you're sitting. And, you know, with the out breath, you're letting go of any tension. Then, you know, connecting with the sense of aliveness in the body, particularly in the torso, in the hands, in the arms and hands, and the legs and the feet, the vibrancy, the aliveness. You know, if this body is made out of food and water, oxygen, you know, have emerged out of this vast body of the planet and are kept alive. We are constantly, you know, eating the planet, breathing the planet, drinking it. It's just a different way of looking, and it reveals something so obvious. But it often escapes our awareness when we just go through our day. And I remember, you know, when Mahagosananda, a very well-known Cambodian monk who passed away maybe 20 years ago, I had the great honor of meeting him when I was still in England. He said, you know, I am the world and I eat the world. Thinking thus, I understand all the teachings of the Buddha. I am the world and I eat the world. Thinking thus, I understand all the teachings of the Buddha. So connecting with that aliveness, that vibrancy. It's a visceral knowing, you know, that we are held by the web of life, nourished by it every moment. And that this aliveness we can connect with on this sensing level, on this visceral level. It's like a data flow. We can learn to attune to. It's information which we can receive by sensing into it. It's a particular way of being aware of the body by sensing into the this energetic vibrancy, aliveness, presence. Whenever the mind, wanders off, thinking about something, coming back to sensing into the body. And if you feel a little bit tired, bring some energy into the posture. And, being aware of these earth bodies at a time, where our planet and our ways of conducting life are going into some kind of transformation. And we can feel it in our bones that something is asked of us. And, by tuning more fully to this aliveness in ourselves, we can participate more fully as as members of this planet, participants of it. We are not on top of it, we are not in control of it, but we are participants. And somehow, we've forgotten that. Our culture was all about trying to dominate and extract and get this and get that, and has developed most sophisticated technologies and sciences, but still it's impossible to control this because we are part of it. We're just little cells inside of a vast body. And this, this way of looking can open up a very different relationship. And that's, what is so important at this time, to grow into a more of a relationship of accountability and community and responsibility in how we participate in this. And allowing that to just be felt, this deep embeddedness. As the title of tonight's sharing, getting to know ourselves in a different way than usual. Getting to know ourselves in a different way than what we are taught, when we are brought up, what we are taught in school, how the language operates. It's like something we have to consciously expand perception and grow into a different way of looking at all of this. Because the old way is no longer up to the job. And, our species is in great danger, really. And this is, part of the practice at this day and age, to allow that to become conscious without immediately needing to do something about it, but to befriend ourselves with that truth, to make some space for that, with a lot of kindness and spaciousness, so that we can receive guidance. Guidance on how to respond. So, and for the remainder of our time, I leave you to it, to just be with the perception of we are all part of a living, intelligent earth, and the vulnerability that brings, and at the same time also the mystery and the awe that engenders, the devotion and reverence which can come from touching that truth. And even the Buddha is on record for having been touching the earth in the night of his awakening, calling the earth to be his witness that he had, finished the work. And that was a long time ago, in Iron Age India, where the planet was thought to be like invulnerable to impact by us. But since then, things have changed. So connecting with that aliveness as a object for our awareness, a direct sensing of that, and then attuning to it. Whenever the mind wanders off, coming back and taking refuge in the inner Buddha awareness. So we can be more fully connected with the Dhamma, the way things are, with the support of the Sangha. It's those, these timeless refuges, which are really the foundation, of all Buddhist practice, source of all good qualities, and planting the seed for liberation. And without those refuges, we can easily get lost. But with the refuges, we can find the way as we undergoing a deep transformation now on this planet, which has begun, around when COVID started, and we never came back to how it was before. We are on our way into great changes. And that's how it is on this level of the planet. There is times of stability and times of great change, and we are now entering this transformation time. And with the refugees, we can meet that as an opportunity for deepening. Helping us to steady our intentions and reminding us of what is real and what is possible, even if there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And through the practice, we recognize in ourselves the very Buddha in whom we take refuge. We recognize that we have that same capacity. And that's the essence of the practice, to recognize our own capacity for liberation and coming back to that again and again whenever we get thrown off. We don't know what's going to happen, but we don't know how to meet it. But we do know how to meet it. And that's the refuge. That's the foundation on which to stand when things are unstable. With awareness, with attunement, and with community. And we're slowly coming to the end of this meditation. Thank you. And we have about 20 minutes or so for sharing together. And maybe if there's some questions or. And I want to ask you, Chintana, you have such a lovely background. Where are you sitting? Sitting in a desert?
It's a background that I used before in science because what you see are the shadows. Those aren't the actual camels. And I just always love this picture.
So is it a wall behind you or is it just an image in Zoom?
It's a picture, yeah. So,
it's beautiful. Thank you. So who would like to share a little bit about your practice, your experience? How are you meeting these times, of great changes? What does that mean for you in terms of, energizing your practice, or is it the opposite? Just like to hear, from a generosity of helping to weave community by opening and showing where you are. Daniel.
I'll take a risk. I'm not I'm not totally sure if I have all this very kind of succinctly in my head. Oh,
That's fine,
but
you're not in a job interview or anything.
yeah, it's true.
Just
I
me.
guess I've been thinking, with some of that meditation and just in general, I've been thinking a lot about um, kind of how like trauma and injury is sort of passed down through the ages and kind of on a maybe very individual level inherited from our family, but maybe on a much broader communal level inherited from those that went before us. And starting to recognize that sometimes, it can feel overwhelming, kind of bearing the weight of that in a lot of ways, the weight of sort of the damage that we've inherited from those who've gone before us, and how some during that meditation, I started to realize that the reason why it feels overwhelming is it's actually not ours to bear. We can put it down. That was choices that were made by others before us, and we can now start to choose differently if we want. But that holding and trying to carry on that legacy in some way is hurting us. So I don't know. That's sort of where my mind went. And I kind of,
Number one is we haven't only inherited trauma, we have also inherited a lot of good things, so that helps to balance and see both, And of course, we can do things differently, but the momentum of institutions and all of this, that's not gonna be like an easy fix, But yeah, but first we need to, realize that, all systems are also empty, but they are conditioned. And because they are basically empty, we can shape them. But also our minds are strongly conditioned, So it's like a big deal. But the first thing is to realize all of that, that it is possible. But I think, with our thinking minds, we won't find the way out, because the thinking minds are also colonized by that thinking, basically,
yes.
So that's why I'm also, thinking that, not thinking, but this is why there is a lot of talking these days about building a more conscious relationship with the web of life, as an intelligence which is operating as this planet for almost 5 billion years. So there is a hell of a lot of experience there and capacity, for sustainability. So why don't we, if we are already part of that process, why don't we attune to it more fully with more humility and give up that human supremacy that we are the top species here and we know what to do, because it's obvious that we don't.
Exactly.
And we are kind of like toddlers which have guns in a way, all of these very powerful technologies, but we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and also like keep the humor in all of it, it's not like we are so bad, we need to beat ourselves up. It's more like that is what you do when you're immature, and when you concede it and you think you know everything. So it's more about, this reality check, and then through taking that in, and then maybe there's different ways, maybe we truly can learn, from the web of life, which is doing planeting for so long without us, and then we came the last 300,000 years, and now we think we are the one, that's completely stupid, actually. So take that in, and then, I think if we make some space, expanding perception, then there is space for some new information to come in, and for us to apprentice ourselves, not that anyone has the answers, but it's more like about the how, about what not to do, to hold on to something which doesn't work, and it's essentially a spiritual work, of surrendering to something so much vaster than ourselves, but not as a father figure, like in the sky with a long beard who is going to say this one and that one and all of those things, but more as a community of beings, who are all part of this vast being we call planet Earth, who is doing that quite well without us for a very long time. And now we are, just starting to realize, hey, we need to do things differently. So
Yeah.
that, and the humor is important.
There's a movie called The Sphere where humans discover an alien technology that essentially allows any of their thoughts to become real. And what they learn is that they start creating monsters and anxieties and all sorts of, because they can't control their thoughts. And they eventually conclude that they need to give it back to the aliens because human beings aren't ready for that yet. We'll blow ourselves up. And I thought, yeah, we have brilliant insight and intelligence, and so we make weapons that will kill everyone, in one instant. And that's the best we could think of was
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, that humility, the need for it.
Crazy. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if more of us consider in this way, that'd be very healthy,
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for having the courage to speak. And it's more like you just come on and then you just open and see what comes out, just by the goodness of your generosity of wanting to contribute,
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. And Ananea. I think you're still muted. Oh, now you're here.
Yeah, no, I know it's the unmute rule. In this last several years, well, let's see, inherently we can see that human beings really are not, as we've mentioned, are really not that bright. I mean, for all that height of intelligence, it can send, people to the moon and, go down to the, thousands of feet or miles down into the ocean and do all this wonderful exploration. And, but actually can't seem to get along with each other. And in nature, there have been some wonderful documentaries on PBS over the last several years. And some of them were really kind of extraordinary. One was about it's like a basic organism, a type of slime mold.
Yeah.
And they studied this thing and it's how super important it was to the health of everything that was around it. But that even at that basic level, there was an intelligence operating.
Yeah.
Knew what to do, where to go, how to organize, how to stay alive, how to avoid things that weren't great for him. And this is like a single cell organism or whatever. And there's so many examples of that in nature, whether it's animal or even, slime molds or whatever, there's an intelligence and an adaptability that human beings lost when we developed our cerebral cortex. Which essentially disconnected us from our sensing nature. The very basic, how do you get along? How do you cooperate? All those sorts of things. And into this intelligence that can, again, do the rockets thing and all of that, but really hasn't shown a whole lot of growth for the amount of time we've been on the planet. Doesn't seem like the thing about getting along or cooperating is really, I don't think we've made much, yes, there's progress. People like us who are following the Buddha, found the Buddha, was led to the Buddha. We're like, I think it isn't even I don't even think it's 1% of the population. I think maybe it could be 0.5% or whatever, but it's a very small group of people. Thank heavens that there are Buddhists and others who really want to know and want to understand and want to change behaviors. But it's an incredibly slow process. And I have an impatient nature. And so for a long time, I was really frustrated about not seeing things change. You get this great hope. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Somebody's real. And then I went, the brakes go on. Somebody's no. And Buddhism solved all that for me. I mean, once one gets it about impermanence and the nature of things, the rising and falling, that makes it is a sanity saver on so many levels. But there is this, in nature, without that cerebral cortex, this rising and falling, the birthing and ceasing, and moving together or whatever is just seamless. And it's something that we just don't have, we just don't quite this level of intelligence. It really is a super challenge.
But we can, by noticing the challenge, we can also, bring back on, bring online other capacities. I think we
absolutely, thank heavens for that.
Because we are evolving, and first we need to, I think first we need to try long enough and then see that it doesn't work that way. I think then slowly, some other capacities might wake up, because they can become, we can bring them forth, skills.
Yes, but there has, and I don't disagree with that at all. It's just an incredibly slow process.
Yeah.
And, greed, hatred, and delusion, that's the real challenge, because in nature, you can have some greedy animals, but it's like it's a different quality than what
we have
among human beings. And we're living in an age where the greed and the hatred, those three, are just so out front right now. It's so bald-faced. Like in this country, the amount of graft and lack of consideration and just pure evil, it seems to me, in how we're dealing with people and making people the other, When you make people the other, then you can get rid of them. It gives you permission to get rid of them. So anyway, but you know, amidst all of that, there's still people. I mean, I have many, many friends, and you know, over the years and whatever, there's still, yes, thank heavens, there's still this thread of quality of a belief in equality and of sharing and of kindness.
Yeah.
And thank heavens for that.
Yeah. Thank the practice for that. Yeah. Thank you, Ananaya, for being here today. It's lovely to see you. And Kay?
Yes, hi, Ayya. Thank you so much for that. What I wanted to say was, whilst I was in that process of meditation, whilst I was trying to, well, not trying, whilst I was focusing on, the guidance, what was inclining in me was the Brahma Viharas. There was just so much metta, this overwhelming, it was all of them. It was gladness, it was compassion, and then at the very end, an equanimity. But it was thinking, it was like having that image of the earthworm. There was so much like appreciation for that interconnectedness, and all, in the Metta Sutta, all beings, seen, unseen, every thing that exists, there is a loving kindness for that thing. And so, as contemplating the arising and passing away of, this life and this existence, there was huge equanimity, because every single thing goes through it. I'm not special, nothing special. It's huge equanimity at the end of that realization of, oh, this is how it is. This is nature.
Yeah.
It does this. And so, it was surprising to me that I was trying to, be with this concentration object of, that or the feeling or the groundedness, but then it just drifted off into Brahma Vihara land, and it was all of them, all of them, all of them.
I must say, I also noticed that in myself, since I meditate in that way, it very often comes up a deep sense of gratitude, so much gratitude for everything, for the amazing mystery of that process, which is so incredibly deep, and it's just really a mystery, and so beautiful, and the generosity of it, and then we come with our little minds, and do all of those things Ananaya was just speaking about, because we don't trust that process yet, and that's the work we all try to do, to trust it more, because it's hard to trust,
And I can hear you on the level that you're speaking, and then I can also take that and apply it to the personal level of, I use my mind, and then I bring my little mind into it, and then I don't trust the process. That's not just on a grand scale. That's in the minutia, day-to-day living tiny things.
Also,
it's exactly that not trusting, that thinking that, it's that conceit that I know best, and I truly don't.
Thank you for sharing, Kay. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayya.
I might see you when you come over here to California. Yeah, just a few, like 40 minutes down the road, as Tavira was saying. Yeah. Chintana, do you want to share something with us? Or Elaine, Upasika Elaine? Nope. Okay. And
I've been increasing my meditation, and so today sat for, maybe it doesn't sound like a lot. I was trying for an hour, but I made it to 45 minutes. And I did 2 sessions of 45 minutes. So tonight it was very difficult for me to sit. I was very uncomfortable. And that was something I was dealing with. I don't know what to say. I'm as far as all the hatred and things that are going on in our country right now, and that have been, our country has led other countries down that road. It's I can't actually feel about it. If I do, it'll be too much for me. So I don't read the news, you know. Well, that's a lie. I can't tell a lie. So I do read some of the news, but I don't read anything with our leader, because I just find it too shocking. You know, now he's taking down the windmills off the East Coast, because the bug is 18th hole. The insanity and the fact that people are jumping in there with him. It's like a sci-fi film, actually. So, yeah, I'm not leaving us in a great place, but what can I say? It's going to be real fun next couple of days. We all get to spend time with people who we probably, you know, don't spend a lot of time with, and probably on purpose. So next couple of days will be, I know for myself, interesting. So I hope that everyone has a great couple of days looking forward. And Elaine, you've got 3 minutes. Take it away.
Thank you, Chintana. And Tanvi. And after Tanvi, then Ayya Tavira.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ayya, for encouraging us to speak up. I am generally very hesitant, but I thought I'll try.
Yes.
Where I am at practice in my life right now is generally these last 2 weeks are very busy. They have been previously too, but this time I realized I actually have 2 entire weeks where like the workload is not as much. I'm not traveling, and I'm intentionally like not trying to make any plans. And then somewhere down, I realized that this could actually be a very good opportunity to practice, like do more practice and integrate it into my daily life. So I think that's gonna be my focus for next 2 weeks. Like meditate for a few hours more in the day, maybe read some books and listen to Dharma while still trying to do my day-to-day things. Hopefully that will give me some insight or like help me blend this practice more into my daily life.
Thank you. That sounds really good, Tanvi. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
All the best. And then we have Ayya Tavira.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on, you know, there's a way we can focus on how hard all of this is, and like we've been saying, like what a long process, and like how much we don't know about how to do what needs to be done. And also I reflect on, and also it's like I feel like there's all of that there, and how easy it is to get overwhelmed by that. And I feel like for me, there's also this feeling of like possibility of, you know, all of these people who are seeing the things that aren't working and kind of withdrawing from that. And actually that frees up a lot of energy and a lot of resource and a lot of creativity that now can be turned towards other things. And, you know, the way that like, you know, it is returning to health.
Yeah.
If we really are genuinely doing this work, it is returning to something more healthy. And so it actually gives us more resource and gives us more energy. And, you know, I think there's then that danger of like, you know, you get a little more resource and then, you know, the negative bad habits take over and it, you know, turns in a bad direction. But there is, I think, this opportunity here of like, okay, like actually we're looking at returning to health, and it's going to be good for everyone. Even the people who are very invested in the current system and don't understand why it's bad, it's going to be good for them too, actually.
Yes, that's true.
And it's not about like, oh, we need to take down and crush, this thing and replace it with something different. It's like we're looking at something that's healthier for everyone.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. That is so true, yeah. And then we are at the end, but if Bao has still something to say, please. Shortly, Bao. We can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This just my second chance here. So I gonna I just want to introduce myself to everyone here. So actually from Fresno, California. So
yes.
I practiced meditations a while back, like 10 years ago. I was able to get into a very like deep meditations for sometimes. I was very at that times I was because I was like have some time to really be away. So I felt that really helped me. But after that I was caught up with life stuff, become very busy. So I just don't have much time to get back to meditation. So now my thinking just all over the place, and I find that it's so difficult to stay focused on just one task. So I thinking I want to go back to like meditate, but I cannot do that myself because when I meditate, my thinking just like jumping in 100 place in a couple of minutes. So that the last time when I joined the group, I think it's helped a lot.
Yeah, please come back.
Yeah, it's helped a lot. It's like it's at least they allow me to give me some time to start that process. So I actually really exciting. I want to try to keep up with the group for to continue this process, and hopefully I can get back to where I was so many years ago. So yeah, I'm really exciting for this opportunity.
Yes, please come back and, take advantage of the holding of the community, which help you to slow down, and then slowly you can bring it into your life, But you need the Sangha to makes it much easier,
Yes.
Yes. Come back.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of our session, and, I want to share the merit, the good energy of our practice together, for all of us. Maybe the next days, the holidays, and all of that may it all go well, and maybe all land in 2026, with a lot of equanimity and courage, and humility for learning from the way things are. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you by the power of all the Buddhas. May you ever be well. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you by the power of all the Dhamma. May you ever be well. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you by the power of all the Sangha. May you ever be well. And thank you, Ayya Tavira and Dhamma Dharini for inviting me, and happy to come back when the time comes. And
Right, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's been really good.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.